Well, hey there. Welcome to the channel where you will find love, laughs, and DIYs. My name is Crafty Kathy. I'm the owner and creator of Kids Vintage Farmhouse here in beautiful Chattanooga, Tennessee, and I am so happy and thankful that you stopped in to craft and to spend a little time with me today. I've been working on the most gorgeous projects this week. They're actually going to go in my personal bedroom, so I'm very excited to show you these. We're not going to waste any time. We're just going to jump right into the video. And DIY number one is going to be that beautiful little picture frame. I got this picture frame off of Temu, and I absolutely think it's gorgeous. It has little birdies on it, and you guys know how I feel about birds. And I just think it's beautiful, but it definitely needs to be painted. I took everything out of the back of it, and when I resell any type of frame, I just leave the glass out because I have found that people don't want it anyway. And honestly, whenever I'm doing it on YouTube to show you guys, the glare from it is so much you can't even see what's inside the picture frame. So I just always leave it out in case you wondered. I'm going to pull out some wax paper so I can paint this really quick. When I started, I had a different color scheme in mind. So I'm going to show you what I did to this whole project. I started off with Gypsy Green, which is one of my favorite green colors from DIY Paint. And it's a clay-based paint. I absolutely love my DIY paint. There's no paint like it. And I slapped that green paint on this frame like it wasn't nobody's business. And it turned out so beautiful. So it's kind of ironic that I had to change it in the end. But I wanted you to see the whole process from start to finish so you can kind of see how my mind works when I'm crafting. But beware, once you get inside my mind, it is a scary place, honey. Now, I ended up giving this frame 2 coats of the Gypsy Green, and you guys know that it always amazes me, since it's a clay-based paint, whenever you dry it down, it always turns the most pretty, lightest color, and I always show that to you guys because you can literally see it change right before your eyes. Maybe I'm the only one that mesmerizes, but like I said, I'm a big fan of the DIY paint. So the next thing I did was grab my DIY white wax, and I'm going to just get it all up in this picture frame. This little picture frame had all kinds of like little divots you can see. The little birds had the little feathers on them and all these delicate little pieces. Now when you put that white wax on something, it stays on the high notes, whereas that green stays down in the lower areas. And that's what makes it look so pretty. It's the contrast of that green and that white together. Now, you may wonder, why in the world do you put so much on there and then take it back off? Well, just because that's what you do. I mean, look how pretty it looks when you put it on there and then you rub over it with this paper towel. It gets right down in all those crevices and it's just gorgeous. The next thing that I did was just tear a picture or a page out of an old book. Don't worry, it didn't kill the book. The book was from a thrift store and it had already been read. It's had a good life. And so now I use it for decor. And I just kind of laid it across my piece of cardboard there so I could see where I needed to cut it. And I just cut it as I needed to. And you see that one side from the page is kind of jaggedy looking. It's torn where I pulled it out of the book. Well, it don't look right when the other side's not torn. So I went back through and I tore that other side just because it gives it a nice look, if you ask me. And I personally just like it that way. Then I simply just took my little Elmer's glue stick and put it on the back of that cardboard and put that little white backing down. And then I put some of the glue stick on the back of my page and put it down, and it's going to stick perfectly fine. Now, I have this beautiful transfer from the IOD book called Ephemeral Melange. Maybe it's melange or melange. It's one or the other, but the first word's ephemeral. I know that. So I just laid it down on here. If you've not ever used a transfer, man, you're missing out because the transfers are it's one of my favorite things to do. I love them. You just put it on your project and rub it off with this little tool that they send you. And I kind of hold mine up as like the edge of it while I'm going over it because it helps the transfer to get on the page better. And then you just burnish it, which means you just kind of rub that little sheet around on the top of it, and it kind of helps get the little gloss off and get it down on the picture real good. Now, I had cut off the wording because I thought, why do you need wording when you've already got the book behind it? But it just looked kind of naked down there underneath those flowers, so I added the wording back. And it really didn't do a whole lot, but it just gave it that little subtle difference that eased my mind. You know what I'm saying? So then I went through some of my packs of my Totally Dazzled. They're just little gems and jewels. And I found this cute little heart and I put it on the bottom. Now, this is the next day after I had changed my mind on a bench that I'm doing, so my whole color scheme changed. We're going to do this picture frame over again in the color called Blue Iris. If you can see that little piece of fabric that's there beside my left hand, that's the color that we're using now. It was something totally different yesterday. And honey, to be honest with you, tomorrow it might be something different again. But for this video, we're going with this beautiful blue color. And like I said, it's called Blue Iris. And I went over it and gave it 2 coats of that Blue Iris. And if you ever get a hankering to try some of these DIY paints that I use or the IOD transfers, a lot of my crafting supplies comes from my buddy Lori at Milton's Daughter. I'll leave all the information in the description box below so that she's easy to find, but it's www.miltonsdaughter.com. And if you use the code CraftyCathy10, you get 10% off your first purchase. However, I do know that on the DIY paint, they do not let you do any kind of discounts, so it's kind of out of Lori's hands. But you still will get 10% off if you order other things. So look how beautiful this Blue Iris turned out after I dried it down. I love this color. I think I like it better than the green. And I'm really not a fan of blue. So I went back over it with the white wax, and look how beautiful that white wax lays down in all those little crevices of this picture frame. And here comes the end result. I hope you like it. I am very happy with it, and I think it is beautiful.
Well, I want to take a ride in the wheelbarrow in your mind. Take me all around to the thinking places where you spend your time. Ain't no place I'd rather go. You're a funny little critter and I love you so, man. I want to take a ride in the wheelbarrow in your mind. Come and sit down with me in a rocking chair. Coffee pot is nice and hot. We can sit in our underwear. Tell me about the dreams you had last week, swimming all around with the fish in the sea.
Now this is a little bench that I found at the thrift store for only $10. It needed a little work. It was pretty dirty. It's been sitting out on the front porch here of my craft room for quite a good time. I guess I've had it for about maybe 4 months now. So I had to clean it up real good. And then I took a little bit of a sander to it. I've got a little palm sander. And I ran it all across the areas where it needed. You see it's got this shelf in the front. I couldn't even get the shelf open because it didn't come with the knobs or anything. But we're going to fix all that up and make it beautiful. But I wanted to show y'all what I found inside. Look at this. When I actually got it open, that's pollen. And those are like dirt dauber or some kind of bee, like homes. You know what I mean? So anyways, I wanted to show y'all that. I thought that pollen was crazy because it was so yellow. Anywho, that's why we all stay sick in Tennessee right now. I'm going to use the color called Crinoline, which is a beautiful off-white color. Now, I started slapping it on here, And guys, I don't do my paint like my furniture in any special way. My first coat is to just get it on there, just slap it on. And I always start off, and when you're doing a lighter coat like this, like a lighter color, you need to put some shellac on it. And I always forget and then have to go back and do it. But the shellac will keep that brown color from coming through that white paint. And for the love of all things holy, do not look at me because I look like just this worn down, just about like I feel. That's what I look like. And then you see our liner is not coming in for our swimming pool for 2 more weeks. So you get to see that beautiful pond behind me there, which is our swimming pool right now. But in 2 weeks, baby, it's going to be nice and blue. And I'm going to have my fat welly belly out there swimming all around like a fish in the sea, like that song said. I played it for a few extra minutes because a lot of y'all like it. It's pretty funny. But anyways, I gave this thing 2 coats of this color crinoline. I got it upside, downside, every side, and round side that you can imagine. And I'm going to hurry up and cut it off right now before I come around this corner again because I was embarrassed. I cannot believe that I was even standing in my own yard, in the privacy of my own yard, looking like this. But guys, you know what? That's the life of a crafter. I look like a run over something every day, but I get my stuff done. You know what I'm saying? So anyways, 2 coats of crinoline, and we're going to keep rolling. So here's the next day when my project had dried. I gave it plenty of time to dry. I got these knobs from Hobby Lobby you saw for $1.74, but they were actually half off of that. So I didn't spend much on these at all, and they're gorgeous. They were normally $7 a piece, y'all. Now, I got to have 3 of them to go in these drawers, and look how pretty these are. I'm just showing you the front part, but of course I put the screws in them. I just didn't show you that little part. Now, the next thing that I got is this high-density cushion foam. I got this from Walmart. I couldn't tell you how much it was because, like I said, I got it a long time ago when I first got that little bench. And I'm going to put this on. It's going to be my next step. And I cut this piece of board out. It is 28 long by 11 wide, and it's going to fit right down on the top of my little bench. So what I did was I flipped over that piece of foam because I'm going to have to cut it down. So I put the foam on the bottom and I laid my little piece of wood on the top. And like I said, this is just I guess it's about 1 inch thick, this piece of plywood here. And I just used a Sharpie to mark where I needed to cut. And I just took the scissors to this booger and I cut it down with some scissors. I mean, whatever works. I don't know what you're supposed to cut foam with, so if you know, tell me, but the scissors work pretty good. And I bought 2 of these cushions. I was trying to just use one so I could take the other one back to Walmart, and I ended up just using one. It took the full cushion. And then the next thing that you do is you get some batting. Now, the batting has to go over this cushion, and we're going to take the stapler and we're going to staple it to that piece of wood. And there's my goofy butt. This is the second day. Okay, and so what I did was I took my batting and I was trying to lay it to where you guys could see what I was doing here. You see how I laid it and I flipped my cushion and my little board over, and then I just got my stapler. It's an electric stapler, and I stapled all down the sides of it. And then my little tripod that I had fell over, so I had to get back up on my craft table with this. And you see I'm putting the staples all down through there. And then on the sides, I had some excess, so I cut it off. And I just folded it just like you do a Christmas present, how you kind of pull the ends in. You have to make sure you're pulling it taut so you're not going to have like a hump in your batting, you know. So I just went all around with my staple gun and I just stapled it the way that I needed to. I had a few mishaps with the staple gun, but we ain't going to talk about that right now. And see, I just cut off the excess, flipped it around like a Christmas present, and closed it up real nice. And then that excess that's behind the staples, I ended up cutting it off because you don't need it there anyways. And you don't want anything to cause your cushion to kind of bump up, you know. Then we come to the fabric, and this is what got the whole thing changed. I have a totally different Pioneer Woman fabric. Well, I realized that it wasn't going to match my curtains in my bedroom, and I ain't about to change them curtains because they're too expensive. Now, this is 1 yard of fabric. I got it at Walmart, and look how beautiful this is. I have blue flowers on my curtains, and so these blue flowers here matched it perfectly. I flipped it over and I pulled it taut, and I did the exact same thing with my stapler. I went around and stapled it where I needed it to be down, and wherever there was excess, I just cut it off. The first fabric that I had was this beautiful, it had the red flowers on it, but it had a lot of green in it and a little bit of yellow. And that's why I first painted that picture frame that green color. But I just loved that blue iris color up against this fabric. I thought it was so pretty. And right here is where I realized that I had a lot of excess there, and I didn't want my cushion to bump up, so I started cutting all of it off. And there was a few little pieces that I even went through with my glue gun. I had some fabric glue in it, and I used a little bit of that too because I want this thing to be super sturdy. Super sturdy. So you got to seal in your DIY paint. And a lot of times, if I'm not wanting to paint a top coat on it, I will spray it with this Rust-Oleum 2x matte clear. It seals and protects, and for me, it's always done an excellent job. And honey, it's in a spray can, and it's easy. I hope you like this. I think it's beautiful. It's going to be so pretty at the foot of my bed when I'm sitting on it putting my tennis shoes on.
She thinks I'm a little lazy. I think she's a little crazy. We like summer and we like spring, watching wrestling in the ring. She ain't shy, she speaks her mind, tough as nails and smooth as wine. We burn hot as kerosene, baby, we got our own thing. She ain't skinny and I ain't tall, and that don't bother us at all. I run naked through the yard, she flash every police car, drinking wine and getting tired, shooting out the damn street lights. How does she put up with me? Oh, baby, we got our own thing. We got our own thing. We don't need no rain.
Well, this comes to our last DIY. I found these candlesticks at the thrift store, and I thought they'd be perfect to go in my bedroom. I don't even have any candlesticks in my bedroom, so I thought these would be a good candidate. So I'm just cleaning them because they, of course, was dirty. And the type of paint that they put on there, I think that they went back and maybe scraped it up a little bit with like a hand sander because it was kind of like coming off, you know, the paint was. So anyways, I'm going to use this blue iris on these, and I totally forgot to take the tag off the bottom, but by the way, I paid $2 for these is all I paid for them. Now, I went over them with that blue iris color, and the blue iris by itself is a very bright and vivid color. Now, some people like that, but I like to mute it down with that white wax, and that's why I was using the white wax to seal these, because you do have to seal the DIY paint, and there's no better way to seal it than to use that white wax because it kind of knocks that bright color down. So anyways, I gave these babies 2 coats. And then here is my favorite part where I'm drying it down for y'all's viewing pleasure so you can see how pretty that color just changes right before your eyes. And another thing, look how dark those lines are where they had went through, and I told you somebody had used like a little hand sander. Well, the lines came back through. And I had to go back and paint the bottom of these because I was drying them in a certain way where I wouldn't touch it. So anyways, I went back and painted the bottom of these real good in any spots that I needed to touch up. Now we're going to use this Iron Orchids Redoubt 2 because these flowers are a spitting image of the flowers that's on that pretty little bench. So I thought these would be perfect to slap a couple of these on my little candlesticks. This book is absolutely gorgeous. It's got these mauve colored flowers in it, pinky kind of color flowers in it, and they're almost a red tone. They're really not just one color, they're a mixture of colors, and the IOD transfers are so amazing. Like, it looks like they're just so pretty. There's no other way that I can describe it. And I'm actually going to be using this transfer book to do some more stuff to match all this in my bedroom soon. So I grabbed my candlesticks, and this is really sped up, but I went slow because I decided to put the flowers on the part that had those divots. Now, I don't recommend doing that because it's not the easiest thing in the world when you're trying to get over little humps. It's easier when you just have an absolutely flat surface. But I used my fingernails instead of that little tool that they give you. That way I could feel all the little divots where the flower was going. And then in the end, I absolutely love that pinky red color up against this blue. I think it's so pretty. And then at the bottom, I put another little rose. And these transfers, when you use them, all you do is I like to use my fingernails sometimes, you can see, or you use the little thing that they give you, and you just rub it, and then you burnish it with that film that it just came off of. Now, I did this on both of my candlesticks. I'm not 100% sure what these flowers are. I think some of them are roses and some of them are the peonies. I'm really not sure. They're kind of a mixture of several different flowers. And I know somebody's going to come and tell me exactly what they are because, guys, I don't know. There's only a couple flowers that I absolutely know the names of, and they're the easy ones. But aren't these beautiful? I just think these turned out so pretty, and I'm so happy that I actually went back and changed my colors because blue is not something that I normally go with, and I'm really happy with it. Now here comes the fun part. I'm going to use my DIY white wax, and I'm going to go all over this. You don't have to put too much. I kind of put a little bit more than what I wanted on. But then you just wipe off your excess with either a baby wipe or just a dry paper towel. And that's what I used, was a dry paper towel. And I know that the DIY paint and the wax and those products, it cost a little bit more than, say, your Waverly paints. But can I tell you, that small bottle of white wax right here, I've had that bottle for a year and a half at least, and I still have about a fourth of it in that bottle. And you guys know how much I use the white wax. So, I mean, it lasts a really long time, and there's no other wax on the market like DIY wax. It just makes everything so soft and beautiful. And look how it took that bright, vivid blue color, and it kind of just like knocked it down and calmed it down a little bit and made it gorgeous. Now, the only battery-operated candles that I had to go on these candlesticks are the ones that I recently done for the 4th of July. But I wanted to show you guys, when you decoupage these on with the glue stick like we did, look how easy they are to come off. It just peels right off of there, so you can save your candles and just change them out each season. I hope you like this one. I think it all turned out beautiful.
I wanna jump around when I think about yesterday. Your smile, your style so fly, my
as time stood still, I got the urge to steal a kiss, and so I did. Now I'm embarrassed, but just a little bit. Oh, there must be gold on those lips and honey on those fingertips. Can you imagine us two?
Hey, if you stuck with me through this whole video, I just want to say thank you so much for coming my way and spending a little time with me today and watching me craft. I hope that I gave you a little bit of inspiration, and I hope you like these blue colors. Now, don't forget, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, I would love to have you to be part of our family here on YouTube. All you got to do is hit that little red button and you're in the family. And also, if you enjoyed this video and this content, please give me a big thumbs up because it really helps YouTube to push my video out to people who've never seen it before. And right now for the summer, my videos are every Monday and Thursday at 6:30 Eastern Standard Time. So I'll see you back then, Lord willing, and the creek don't rise. I love y'all.